that would be the one lesson I would tell my past self, would be to work harder on yourself than you do at your job. Like at the beginning, I was just focused on my craft and like trying to be the best, artist or illustrator that I could be. And that's where it ended. Like, if I was succeeding in that, I'm like, cool, I'm good. Whereas now I have a mentality of everything affects everything. How I, just interact with people on the street, or how I write an email, how punctual I am to catch up lunch with my mum, or whatever it is. All these little things are molding a person.
So how's your week been anyway?
Good. Mostly thinking about this, being like, my first phone calls is a bit nerve-wracking. And just sticking to my daily schedules and routines, and just chipping away each day. Trying to, my next move is to get agency representation overseas. So I'm just tightening up the website, tightening up, getting my ADMs going, doing a newsletter, which is something new for me, and just kind of taking a little zoom out and looking at how I've structured things and getting ready for the next move.
What does that even look like? Do you have much of a following overseas?
No, I don't really know, but I think it's more so looking at illustration agencies and that are situated in countries that I'm not. So, they're on the ground sourcing work on your behalf and kind of plugging you in to work with brands and clients and things. So, I think that's the next move. Like, I've been quite proud of what I've been able to achieve here in Australia on my own, because I've been doing this all by myself so far. So I think I'm ready to take that next step.
Could you leverage the connections that you've made here with international companies already? Could you use that as a foot in the door? Like, you worked with Nike, right?
Yeah.
You did. That was an epic project.
Thanks.
That you did. Would there be any kind of like knock-on effects with that?
So from my experience, it seems that the brands kind of, they pop up, they work with you, and then that's it. Like, it's not ongoing work. It's project to project based. And the projects can be smaller or larger depending, but usually it's, and they're such big organizations. You're dealing with one person in that organization, and usually they don't want to, repeat the next campaign, do the exact same thing. So, I don't see, like, I haven't built strong, relationships with people within the brands. They hit you with a brief. This is our deadline. This is our budget. This is what we require. And the brief for the project, do you want to take it? Yes or no? And then you do the work, and that kind of is the end of that.
How did that even come about, that connection with Nike? Because that was for Australian Open. So it was high visibility.
Yeah.
They really pushed out that aesthetic and gave you a platform just to create things in your style entirely.
Yeah.
And they really wanted to mesh what you do with the Australian Open. It marries up real well, right? Like having that summertime colourful vibe and a lot of playfulness and fun. How did that come about?
Dude, there's actually a big story to that. And I'll take it right back. Like, so I'd been living out of home for maybe 2 years or approaching 2 years, finished uni. I went traveling over to Europe for, 3-4 months. And the deal with my mum was like, when you get back, you're out of the home, like go live type thing. We're packing up your bedroom thing. So moved out of home, and I moved in with my best mates, like in his old grandparents' home. They lived next door to his family house. So, living in there, and it was my first time living out of home, and, bills to pay, rent to pay, and I'd had a pretty good run of working with some clients by that point. I had worked with Heineken and Red Bull and some people, some big name brands. So I was, young and naive and confident, and thinking like, oh, I'm just like a free, I'm an illustrator now. I'm an artist. Like I could I'll just do this. And that soon popped. That bubble popped quite quickly with the realities of the world, and like to the point where I was like, I really wanted to just give up, and I was looking at ways to get myself out of that situation. Like it was really dire. I was building up quite a large amount of debt, rent to my best friend's family. We were really lovely to allow me to keep living there, and like, I'll just figure this out. To the point I went to do like a job trial at just mopping floors at a local cafe, and like just been like, get me out of this situation. When did that, and it ended up, I worked, it was like, I don't know, for like 12, 14-hour shift, no lunch, no breaks. And then they offered you like cash in hand at the end, below minimum wage, and like kind of just, it was like the universe spitting me out, like, dude, get back to like, figure this out. Like, because I was just like, abort, get me out of this. I don't like this. It was my first time I was really getting pressed and pressured. At the time, I was doing a little project with Officeworks, and so I was like, I just need to think smarter. I need to figure out a way to generate my own income rather than just waiting for an email to land in my lap. And so I put together with my friend an exhibition of 26 other local artists, which is the Letterman exhibition, which was just down on Johnson Street over there. And I gave everyone, because this is where I was first being into my letters and being like creating letter artworks. And so I pulled together 26 of my artist friends. We did assigned each person a letter of the alphabet. I made a whole alphabet and decked out Magic Johnson, which is an exhibition space down there, which I got an opportunity to use the space for free. And like to get to that point, even though I remember us setting up and me and my friend running down Smith Street, handing out the flyers in all the cafes and like all these businesses, and like, please, like, we got this show happening, and we had no money at all. And I remember just like being completely exhausted, like running that. I wasn't aware how much work goes into event management and trying to wrangle like 26 other humans to try and move in sync. And I remember like it was the day of the exhibition, and me and my friend Gim, shout out to Gim, we were sitting in the gutter, in the street, and just being like, dude, what are we doing? Like we were starving. It was like 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock. The event was that night. Like, we need to eat. And he had $7 in his account. I had $7 in my account. So we transferred it into each other's account and shared a burrito on the street. And we're just like, dude, what the hell? Anyway, ended up being a really big success. Like, we auctioned off all the artworks. We generated a lot of money. All the money went to charity. And a couple days later, I got an email from Nike being like, oh, you're the letter dude. We need an alphabet for the Australian Open. And I was just like, bruh, like, man, I can't tell you how much that meant to me, to like, after going through all that ordeal, and there was no foresight of what was coming for it. And they asked, we would like you to create an alphabet for the Australian Open. You've got kind of 2 weeks to do it. It was like around Christmas, and I just locked in over Christmas, and everything kind of changed. Like, that was the first time. So I racked up a large amount of debt for the rent. So I could get myself out of that situation and get a breath of fresh air, like breathe. Felt like the waves of the ocean just going and going. It was genuinely a life-changing opportunity, and it gave me that belief back, I guess.
Yeah, it was more than just that opportunity there, but it kind of helped give perspective to everything that led up to it as well. You know, like you underestimate how you got to create your own fortune as well. You know, what you were saying to, instead of just waiting for that email to come, you got to get the wheels in motion for that email to come. So and you never know when it is. So when I was speaking with Justin Maller on this podcast, and his whole philosophy was you just got to stay there, right? You keep doing it, but don't do it for any other reason other than just do it because you love it. It's going to get hard and the opportunities will come, but you got to be there when they come.
Yeah.
So that was
fully, and it seems to me that it's whoever hangs around the longest, you kind of wins by default or gets the opportunities by default. Like the longer you hang around and push through those times, the less competition that there will be, I guess. And also the better you are at your craft by that time. Like in those times where you're like down bad or things aren't going your way, you're forced to grow like at rapid speeds and figure out a way out of that situation, and also really reflect on like, what am I doing currently? What could I be doing better? We look at those times as bad, or like this is not what I want, and but if you kind of submit to them and pick it apart and really embrace the hard times, I think you can find a lot of your answers in there. Like usually when things are going my way and I'm feeling good and think, you don't learn too much. Like it's just kind of times to celebrate your hard work and pat yourself on the back type thing. But when it's not going well, you figure it out because you have to.
Yeah, it's how you want to frame it as well.
Fully.
You know, like we don't know what it's meant to look like. You know, we can make assumptions based on what we see in others, but all we can tell is that others are putting their best in the spotlight as well. We don't see what's going on below the surface, right? So we just assume that this is how you do it. You just move from this point to this point to this point and then success. It doesn't work that way. So it's just a matter of like, and you said just resigning to the process. It's like, oh shit, this is hard work, but it's meant to be. And to your point about how along the way, when you hit a particular obstacle, then you also got to think, okay, this is actually what I need to be able to do. I need to be able to overcome this to get to the next point. And it's at this juncture as well where others will start to drop off, right? Like other people have confronted similar situations as you. Everyone's just been like down on their luck and like, shit, what do I do at this point? Pack it up or figure it out. Yeah, so it's
the pressure.
It's the pressure, but it's also then you just taking those lessons and then bringing it back into and injecting it back into the work, and then having that resonate with everything that you've learned and discovered along the way.
For sure. And I think it's also the love of doing the thing. Like I couldn't, that gets you through those hard times. Whereas like, I truly love this. Like I can't not think about it or do it, and when I don't do it, I feel down. Like I need to do this. And that relationship that you have with it is how you kind of get through those hard times as well, because it's like, this is what I do and this is what I love, and I will do it either way. It's like this weird, relationship you have with the thing that you're passionate about. And I think that you do have to have the love, or else, because when the hard times comes, you just go like, man, it's not really that worth it, or I'm not going to put myself through X, Y, Z to do this.
Yeah, that's a good point. And your work in particular, it is something that is uplifting, it's vibrant, it's fun. And when you have that connection with it, it can carry you through those tough times, right?
For sure. Like I truly mean it. When I don't make something for a week or something new, I do feel down. Don't feel myself. I don't feel in my own body. And sometimes I won't even be conscious that I haven't made something for a week. I'm like, why do I feel this way? Or like I don't have a purpose, or and then all it takes is to just, switch off the world, turn off my phone, turn off, notifications and Instagram, whatever, and just create something new again. And I just have this new burst of life. So yeah, it is my little happy place, my safe space where, I can just be a kid again, or be joyful, and there's no rules in there. I just play and have fun. And even better if when I put it out, someone else gets some enjoyment from that.
What are you drawing from? Like, what are you taking from everything else and putting back into your work?
My childhood, really. Like I had a happy, colourful childhood, and I'm just a big kid, I guess. Like I've always resisted trying to grow up and conform to the pressures of the world, were pulling me in this way or that way. So I channel my younger self when I'm creating, and because it was the point in my life where I was most uninfluenced by the world and free from, this is what you should think, this is what you should do, and just carefree. So I love to stay in that space mentally, and it's just fun.
Dude, that's one of the lessons that I learned along the way doing this. Speaking with Liam Sadea, he's a philosopher of creativity, and one of the points that he raised that stuck with me is that creativity needs to be tied to chaos. Mm-hmm. And he was saying that we have to treat creativity like how a child does, and let our imagination work in that way, to the exact same reasons as you said. As you get older, you're learning a lot of shit, a lot of garbage that stifles your creativity, right? Mm. Like, you got to pay the bills, got to do this, got to, all of these things. Like, no, you can't do this because of this. But then when speaking with Lennox, my oldest son, his imagination just goes, right? And I try to feed off that. Like, I try to really encourage that, because then I can tap into that as well. Whereas like, just go for it, right? Really just push it whichever way you can. We do this thing where like we're walking around anywhere and we'll find a random object, and I'll point to, let's just say if we're at a shop, a mug, and I'll say, tell me what that's about. But the thing is that when he can't tell me what it actually does, we have to make up a whole new situation about that. So we just spend the afternoon just like picking things out and just making things up.
That's fun.
So I'm just, it is. It really is. And it really like pushes that imagination and that creativity, and to try to break away from the norms and the structures and the labels that we're constantly trying to compartmentalize things.
You sound like a very cool dad.
I'm just trying to, like, instead of just saying to him, no, you can't do this because of these reasons, like, no, well, why not? Let's figure it out. Let's just try to see where we can take this. And it has been really eye-opening. So I'm trying to tap into how you think. And that was the thing that caught my attention with your work. Like, it honestly, for me, it was really jarring to see in the nicest possible way, because I find it really hard to break away from things being regimented. Like, I keep things structured and regimented. So when I see something that's just broken out of that, I get this like a rush of like anxiety. I'm like, how? So, and I think I connected with you around about the same time when I dropped that episode with Liam, and it kind of just like tied into that, and I was like, I want to explore this a little bit more, try to tap into his way of thinking.
Yeah.
And I liked that. I really liked how it made me feel uncomfortable, I guess. And you need it.
Dude, yeah. Being uncomfortable is the perfect place to be in. And lean into it. It's like, even me doing this podcast, I'm like, oh, a podcast of an hour long of like exposing yourself, that's super uncomfortable. But I'm like, I just know that that's the right direction to go in, is because if you keep doing the same things you've been doing, you can only get the same outcomes you've been getting. So I'm like, growth is in the uncomfortable.
Yeah,
So
for sure.
Yeah, I have a love-hate relationship with the being uncomfortable, but yeah, you just when you are uncomfortable, you're usually quite present and like in like when things are cushy, cozy, I'm just drawing my little letters at home or whatever. I've done that hundreds of times, that you're just off thinking about whatever else or the day or what you said, so and so. But when you're in uncomfortable positions, you're really present.
That's super integral when it comes to trying to create as well. Like, you've got to be, well, I mean, just the way that I try to bring everything together is to be like focusing just on the here and now, and just trusting that everything that has come beforehand, all the experiences and all the knowledge is coming to this particular point, and trusting that it does unfold in the right way.
For sure. It's this blind faith like that you need to have. And time again, and I guess you get the faith from the experiential level. Like, there's multiple times on my career journey that it shows itself. Like, I try and control certain situations and, force your will, or try and be, I want to get here or get this out of that, and you don't get it. But then you get something else that is what you truly needed to unlock the next stage. It's like, riding your bike at night with just your light on, and you can only see just in front of you there, that you just have to blind trust that the path keeps going, or and that you're going in the right direction. But yeah, it's a weird thing to pursue your entire career and existence off a gut feeling, or like just a feeling with no real like, it's just each move that I make is just a feeling that that's what I'd like to do. Like, I started off my background's in graphic design, and I would just feel like all my graphic design things needed characters in them. And that kind of led me to be like, oh, maybe I'll do digital illustration. And I was doing digital illustration, and then my heart was kind of like, clients would kind of, I don't know, cut down your ideas, or say, no, it should be blue, it should be purple, whatever reason. And then I'm like, my gut was just like, all right, well, if you do an art exhibition, then no one can, tell you what to do. And then, so it's all just it's just flowing on this journey of feeling, and with not any guarantee of like an outcome or success or whatever.
It's resigning to it as well, because there are no guarantees no matter which way you go about it. When there are those that appreciate a bit more structure and appreciate the illusion of a guarantee, knowing what they're going to, wake up and do the next day. I think there's safety and there's comfort in that. But then there's also what happens when things don't play out the way they do. Like, most of our lives are entirely out of our control.
Fully.
Right? Like, we're essentially just reacting to everything else that's going on, and it's just a matter of like how you react to it. And it's pretty numbing when you're going through the motions and not even necessarily reacting, just being at the mercy of this perpetual movement and not really not embracing the opportunities and not really changing anything, right? Because things are constantly shifting and constantly changing. Whether or not you like it, there's change happening to you all the time, right? It doesn't end. So by choosing to not go with that, you're stifling so much of yourself.
Sure. I think like the unpredictability of life is the main reason to live. Like if you could dream your ideal day or week or month, and every single day you could create exactly and know exactly what's going to happen, when it's going to happen. 7,000 days in, you knew exactly what exactly was going to happen. You'd get bored. Like it would, you'd just be like, even if you could be, you know, I'm on cruising around on yachts and airplanes and I'm in this car, it's like, but it's predicted. So it's like, what's the point? Yeah. And I think, as you said, like that's a skill that you have to develop, is like the freestyle and being able to adapt in real time. That's something you have to kind of train yourself to be.
And back to your point, it helps with being present in the now as well, because you're constantly having to navigate this trajectory that's forever going to be moving and meandering. And back to when you were just scraping from the bottom of the barrel, and having gone through that time and knowing that you had what it takes to get out of it the next time it comes around, there's going to be just that feather in your cap thinking, okay, cool, we've seen this, we've felt this, we've experienced this, we can move through this area again.
There is a confidence that comes with that, and you know, your battle scars or whatever, but also each time it comes back in disguise in another lesson or something else that you're lacking, or it seems to me that you kind of set your intentions and be like, all right, I want to be like a successful artist or whatever. And this is way back when you're just finished uni or whatever. The gap from where you are there to what it takes to be a successful artist, the amount of the type of person you have to become to be able to do what they do is dramatically different to who you are at this point in time. There's so much breadth of character building that needs to go into that, time management skills, business side of the skills, the craft itself, like all these things to be able to do that. And it says, all right, that's where you want to go. Let's start getting you ready for this. And so it just throws everything at you, and you perceive it as things not going your way, but really it's giving you what you want, secretly molding you into this, the person that you asked to become. And it is it's growing pains, it's an uncomfortable process. And that's why I said before about like going into the unknown and the uncomfortable it kind of tells me that I'm on the right track.
Yeah, man, that is the goal. The goal is actually in the personal development. You know, it is like where you set your goal is personal development in disguise. And as you said, it comes in different ways. But that was unintentionally, when you have the luxury of hindsight, when you look back at all the hardship, you do look back at it with a bit of fondness.
Fully. And you can't join the dots when you're in it. When you're looking back, you can be like, oh, that had to happen for me to get that. And then I needed that drama taught me this to get up here. Or like, it's a lot easy to connect the dots looking backwards. But when you're in it, it just feels like you're stuck there, and that, you're not making it out. Like, because the tests are quite, it's not a test if it doesn't truly test you, like really makes you, and in the process, it's like removing layers of yourself that aren't necessary or helpful to get to the next stage.
Yeah, and then a lot of those skills are transferable as well. Like when
Fully.
you're able to then back yourself with this particular challenge, and you know that you had the discipline to overcome that, and the grit and the persistence to overcome this area, then you can take that across and use that in a
Fully.
different area in your life.
And I think, yeah, that would be the one lesson I would tell my past self would be to work harder on yourself than you do at your job. Like at the beginning, I was just focused on my craft and like trying to be the best, artist or illustrator that I could be, but not, and that's where it ended. Like, if I was succeeding in that, I'm like, cool, I'm good. Whereas now I have a mentality of everything affects everything. Like how I, just interact with people on the street, or how I write an email, how punctual I am to catch up lunch with my mum, or whatever it is. All these little things are molding a person. That is how it affects everything. So yeah, I think you're right.
No, man, I agree. I've even been doing this thing where, like, if I tell myself, like with like a bag of chips, for example, and if I grab a handful, I'm like, this is my last handful. Like, I'm drawing the line here, right? Because it usually isn't.
Yeah.
But then I'll tie it back in. But then it's like, if I tell myself, that this is the last handful, and it ends up not becoming the last handful, I've just lied to myself.
Fully.
Right? And it was just a little bit where now I know that I can get away with bullshitting to myself because I just did.
Yep.
But if I just tell myself this is the last handful, and it is, then it's a win. And then I'm like, okay, I can trust myself to do the things that I want to do.
Fully.
And then just those little wins along the way. So, and to your point about how everything affects everything, then, I run a lot. So then it's like, today's a running day, you're going to go run. It's not even a question, right? Like the alarm goes off, I'm up, getting ready, and I'm like lacing up, I'm going. There's no, should I, shouldn't I? Oh, it's raining. No, man. Yeah.
Fully. So at the start of the year, I wrote down like my goals and like what I wanted to try and achieve, and then broke down like, okay, what am I willing to sacrifice to achieve those, and then wrote, the strongest point was to like keep the promises you make to yourself, and that becomes like a muscle that gets stronger and stronger. As you said, every time you resist those chips, you get that it's like an undercover low level feeling of good. It's not the taste of like that rush of eating the chips, the salty chips or whatever. It's just like a low undercover, like being proud in yourself.
It's like tick.
Yeah, and it's like a calming, positive feeling, and you start to get attached to that feeling and start building habits using that feeling.
Yeah, for sure, man. And it is about just trusting yourself to be able to do the things that you need to do. You know, your day to day is going to look like sitting down and having to create, having to get back to emails, having to do X, Y, and Z. So there's going to be a lot of little things, and it's very easy to get distracted and be like, oh, fuck, can't be bothered. But you just sit down, do the thing, tick, it's done. Right? Like you would spend so much more energy thinking about doing it and not doing it when you could have just put in just that done.
Fully. And it's trying to detach the emotion to it and just doing the process, which I find is, because that's the thing, like, oh, I really wish like the sun's shining, I want to go like run around outside, or those chips look really good, or like whatever it is, it's just like, just do the task. And then, there'll be a time and a place where you get to truly enjoy those chips or enjoy whatever it is. But
there was, I think the last time we spoke, I was telling you about how there are the things that I needed to do, and which were going to be rewarding and beneficial in so many ways, But then there was like that ill discipline where like I was working on my website, but then I was like, the shower needs a clean. I would rather go and clean the shower than put together this website. And I sat on that for a while, and I was trying to figure out why that was. Like, what was I running away from at that point? And still working on it.
Dude, it's hard. And it's like, I think you might have mentioned that last time, is like the thing that you're supposed to, that you should really be doing is the most like hardest thing to do. It's the most unappealing.
Yeah, the Tim Ferriss quote.
Yeah, and that is so true.
Yeah.
Like me coming up with the newsletter, like all that kind of stuff. It's like that I've been doing last couple of weeks is so hard to do. Like when I just want to draw some characters and smiley faces, and and I've found myself like, go a bit easier on yourself today. Maybe, go for an extra long walk, and just be procrastinating and like treating myself like, to avoid the uncomfortableness of doing that.
Yeah, there's a lot there behind that you need to kind of unpack and figure out like why, because like in doing the thing that you need to do, there is a reward there.
Fully.
And cleaning the shower isn't going to be anywhere near as rewarding as getting that website done. But yeah, so I'll have to.
And it's like a little mental game, because like you're like, cleaning the shower is helping me. And this is a good task. I'm not wasting my time out at the pub or whatever. It's like I'm actually doing something constructive, but it's not like you can do that anytime. And that, like it's not
for sure. Not
crucial.
That was not the time for it. Yeah, that Tim Ferriss quote was the thing that you least want to do is probably the thing that you most need to do. And this is how all this came about as well. I had barely any social media presence before doing this. I really didn't like putting myself out there.
It's an icky thing.
It feels that way, and I'm not sure why. And speaking with James Rush last week, he gave me a bit of an idea when he was when he talked about tall poppy syndrome and to like trying to be humble, but you have to step out of your comfort zone and to step out from what you think other people think you should be and do as well. So that's something that that I've been thinking about, where like, why do I feel uncomfortable being in front of the camera? And I think a lot of it's got to do with what I think other people are going to be thinking about me.
The judgment. It's like, that's the hardest. It's so much easier to, be silent and be out of the way and not in, because putting yourself out there is exposing, yourself, like your heart and soul, your spirit, and then you see one comment and just like shatters your existence.
How do you work with that with your work? Because your work is all vibrant and positive. Does it rub people the wrong way?
It's hard. Like I've definitely received hate before and negative comments and all that stuff, and it's just something you're getting better at learning to deal with, and how to navigate that. And it's a really good time for reflection on yourself, and then like remind yourself on your purpose and how you perceive yourself and what's your opinion on yourself. And also I come up with ways, like I have a little app on my phone that like anytime I click Instagram, it says like, take a deep breath, and it does like, like it's like, I don't know, 30 seconds or a minute or something. It's like, do you really want to open Instagram? And I'm usually like, you know what? No, I'm cool today. So now it's just, I do my post, I might even check it and respond to some comments, and then get off, check your DMs and get off. And I'll just do that once a week, and it'll be a conscious decision to use the app. And so no mindless scrolling, just because I'm conscious of its effects on me. And, the Instagram is an app where it's, you're just seeing the best parts of everyone's kind of lives. And it just doesn't, it's not too good for my mental health, I think. So, so I guess it's, spend little time on there, and also know, like, it's not real life. Like, this is out there is real life. And I think we forget that now in this digital age, that we're, like this for most of your day.
I'm surprised by how many creatives are so insecure, but outside of that creativity, right? Like, they hide behind the work, and they pour themselves into the work, and there is a lot of personal investment in it, and hearing criticism, it could be pretty damaging.
Yeah, it's like it's like a catch-22. To be good at the work, or to be good at a creative thing, you really have to infuse yourself into it and put so much of yourself into it that one little critique, it's a very like sensitive topic to you personally. And even like maneuvering through business and like collaborate, and people like, how much is that? How much are you charging for that? Or you're like, dude, this is my life. Like, this is not the business side of things, where people just come in and you're dealing with business people, but talking about something that's so precious to you, and same with people online who are just scrolling away and like, this pisses me off because of X, Y, Z.
Fuck this guy.
Fuck you. Whatever the reason is, but it's a weird time, because like back in the day, I don't like artists and the creative types weren't that accessible.
Like, you put up your work in an exhibition. Those that wanted to see it will go
there. And you have to make an effort. Like, you have to I got to put my shoes on, put my clothes on, have a shower, get the Uber to the gallery. It's like, you kind of weed out the phonies, like, or like, it's just the diehard fans that are physically engaging with your work. And now it's kind of just the world. So you
could partly blame the algorithms for putting your work up in front of people that don't want to see it, right? And then it's also them just letting, not necessarily you, but just letting the world know, I don't want to see this. It's not for me. But when I got some, whichever video it was that went up on YouTube, and I got my first dislike, I felt good about it.
Oh, really?
I did.
Dude, that's awesome.
It was more like, I did something to upset you. Like, I can't imagine what it was, but
mad.
Yeah, just like, oh man, like I affected you in some way. But like we're not for everyone.
But that's good, man. Like, you don't. The worst thing you can be is for people to feel impartial about the thing you're creating. Whether it's like, man, I'm good or bad on it. Like, you want people to truly love your work and to also truly hate the work. Like, you want them pushed on the outside. Like, that's the best stuff. Is when people have an opinion about it. Whereas if they're just like, it's like, why'd you?
And it's not necessarily even an opinion about that. It's just them just like throwing shit. Like, that's all it is. Like, just wherever it sticks, right? Like, it's like they're not even going to be criticizing the work. They just want to be dragging you down
fully. And I found how how I perceive these times where you do get hate and compliments. It's like, if you want to accept the roses, you also have to accept the rotten tomatoes. Right? But if you kind of distance yourself from both, like the likes and the love and the hate, and it's just like, this is just something that I do, and it ends there. Like, I love this, that's it, and people's opinions don't even, if the water doesn't get in the boat, the boat can't sink type thing. So I kind of just, that's why I do my posts, log out of that thing,
get out of there.
and yeah, like kind of have a little barrier and protect myself. Like I love this, and yeah, you do kind of have to protect it to some degree.
To your point about how everything affects everything, I am totally bought into that, right? Like I know and I can see how different areas of my life permeate and influence the other parts. And that's especially true for people that are undertaking creative pursuits. You're injecting a lot of yourself into your work, and then you're taking your work back to your personal life as well. There is no clocking on, clocking off. It's just who you are, and you're constantly in it all the time. So to tie that in with what I was saying about the chips is when you start establishing this trust in yourself and having this relationship and believing what you say is true and then doing what you say to be true, then you will start building that trust, and then the opinion of yourself will grow. Fully. And then when you start creating work that is strictly just for you, then you will also trust that what you're doing is right. Mm-hmm. And then that's when the roses are great. It's nice to know that your work resonates with other people, but ultimately it just needs to resonate with you. Mm-hmm. You get the hate from the work. It's just not for them. And that's essentially what it is. And especially for those that when they're not even criticizing your work, they're criticizing you and they don't even know you, then you know it's not even about you, right? Like they got things they need to work on. They're projecting something. Yeah. There's something that they need to resolve. And it could be as easy as just you're representing or you're embodying their inadequacies, right? Or their shortcomings. And then back to what James Rush was saying about the tall poppy syndrome is that, we have a responsibility to push creativity and to start and, pushing the boundaries of it. So we shouldn't be stifled by what other people think, because unless that they're also doing the same thing, then take their opinion for what you will, right? Because they are also trying to push the boundaries and take their little seeds of wisdom and plug it back into what you're doing. But we have a responsibility, I think, just as creative people, to try to see where the walls can move, right? And then it's up to us to have to trust that everything that's happened in our lives leading up to that point is moving things in the right direction.
Yeah, try and push the culture forward and push things forward.
Yeah. And, it's not something that is... It's not commonplace. It's not commonplace, especially this day and age where we're so used to things happening so quickly, with trying to chase quick wins, and
just the hardest thing with Instagram and all that stuff. It's like everything seems quick and easy. Like everything looks like everyone's an overnight success. You can just get this XYZ which is not really the realities of it, and it just gives you a false narrative of how things move. Like it takes many hours and lots of work to even just to do this podcast or something. Like there's so much going on, I'm sure, in the behind the scenes and work that's going even to getting to this point, to even getting your lights, the place, the whole aesthetic, the design of your the Instagram tiles and just everything. It's like, but we just see a little thing on the Instagram and it's like a little chat or whatever, and it's like, no, that's tons and tons of work going on in the background.
Yeah, but that was why I wanted to do it. I wanted to do the work, right? And a large part was to not get the quick wins. So much of my life has just been about trying to resolve a big problem but with a small solution, and thinking, this is the magic pill. This is the one that's going to do it. Until you realize that, like, no, that never. Whoever tells you that this is going to solve your problems, it won't. It always comes down to having to have grit, and you just got to push through some hard shit.
Yeah.
And I wanted to do something that was going to be quite humbling, and something where it's like, I want to start from the bottom and go through it and go through the process.
And I think delayed gratification is like a very foreign concept to, I don't know, people from my generation or whatever. Like everything's accessible now. I want, you shop on Amazon and see it tomorrow, or you want any song in the world, just access. Like everything is instant.
And it's a quick fix as well, right? This wasn't about this is the gratification, just getting to sit here and have the conversations. And after this, I'm like, okay, cool. I'm going to go and edit. Sweet, that's going to be fun. And then through that process, I'm going to get to re-listen to this conversation and then really sit on the nuggets that you've dropped along the way. I'm like, actually, you know what? I can take that and apply it to my life, and I can take that. And I think that people will really resonate with this little thing. I want to put that out there. And
the secret is enjoying the process,
that's exactly it.
And that's the blessing.
There is no delayed gratification because I don't know what is going to come of this. There is no real grand plan with where this is going to go. It's more like, I want to meet with this particular creative because I look at your work and your work is so far removed from anything that I've seen or done before. There's got to be something behind, what's the thinking and what's the essence behind that? What can I learn from that, and then plug it back in, and then grow
learning.
Myself.
Life is a process of learning, unlearning, and then relearning.
That's exactly what this is. And I don't think that many people have asked themselves what success looks like for them, right? I think that a lot of it was, I just want to get out of this particular position and I want to get out of it really quick. And then what do I need to do to have those spurts of endorphins and serotonin just to make me feel something. And I just need that now, rather than thinking, what do I want out of my life?
And really fleshing out, what does that idea equate to? Where my idea of being an artist way back in the day is nowhere near the realities of what it actually is. How much work that goes into it, how much you have to put yourself out there, and all these things where I'm just like, cool, you have that false reality of, and you're in the studio all day splashing paint on the walls and just expressing yourself and having fun, where it's I think when you said people don't have an idea of what truly success means to them, it's you got to really what do I want to be doing day to day, and what kind of lifestyle do I want to live, and really pick it apart. The whole journey itself is that's it. It is the journey.
It's the journey.
It is the journey.
Because you set a goal, you achieve that goal, and then what next?
That's the thing. You get those moments where you're like, oh, cool, I did the thing, but now what? Because you were goal focused on your pursuits versus the process focused. It's
that's something that I came to learn about probably about a year or so ago. The gold medal syndrome. Have you heard of that? No. So it's the deep dive into depression that athletes go into when they achieve the thing that they set out to achieve. They had that one goal. They injected every moment of their lives and every fiber of their being into achieving that goal, that they were so closely identified with the persona of being this athlete that they knew nothing else. You're making an enormous amount of sacrifices and all you know is achieving this goal. Every waking moment is focused on achieving this goal. Probably every sleeping moment is as well. And then when you achieve that goal and you've done it, and then you get that sinking feeling of, who am I now? What am I supposed to do? Some athletes can move beyond that, and they can evolve and grow and, find something. But a lot really struggle. You hear a lot of interviews of athletes that go into depression and suicidal thoughts creep in.
Sure. And even if you don't reach, and especially if you don't reach that goal, which your whole life is based upon obtaining, that's a tough pill to swallow. And then it's like your purpose is based on that outcome. Whereas I think focus on the process and the enjoyment of the day to day.
Yeah. And even harder is that there's so much about timing as well for them, where I don't even know who came second to Usain Bolt however many times, right?
Yeah.
But that person would have been world number one and record holder.
Killing it.
Yeah,
like
right?
absolutely phenomenal athlete.
Yeah, phenomenal. It still is one of the greatest
Yeah.
to ever walk on the face of the earth. But we don't know who this person is. I don't anyway.
Yeah.
Right?
No,
He's still a notable person, but so much of it has to do with timing. If he was 20 years older, 20 years younger,
Yeah.
whatever it may be.
0.0003 seconds faster.
Yeah. If you woke up a minute earlier in the morning or a minute later.
Stretch the hamstrings for like 2 more seconds.
So, a lot of their success is hinged on factors that are out of their control. Whereas as a creative, you can just create, and you being the determinant of your success and your failures, you have more control over that, and you're able to react with everything else around you and pivot with that. It's not like that he can decide, you know what, I'm actually going to be the best at 110 meters. It's like, it doesn't exist, man.
I think like that's kind of the tricky thing with creative pursuits is like you kind of have to make up your job and then be good at your job. You know what I mean? Like he's not like, I'm going to figure out a new type of movement and like crawling races or something. And like, I'm the best crawler or something. But like, because that is kind of challenging coming up with your job, but what you want to work on. Like I like doing streetwear and hoodies and like pop art kind of collaboration or whatever it is like deciding what type of creative you want to be. It does take a while to figure that out as well, because it's almost overwhelming how much possibilities there are. You're making sculptures, doing jewelry, or like what, you know what I mean?
Do you have a process with that? Because you have your two-dimensional illustrations, but they're applied in, my God, so many different ways. From your sculptural, furniture, you got your clothes, hoodies, t-shirts. It's basically what is there a process of thinking, I have this particular design, I want to apply it to this, then this, and this, and this. How do you go broadening?
Not really. It's kind of, I'm just living out my childhood kind of dreams or things that I've, just my life that things that I enjoy and love making, like this motocross top. Like I remember me and my best mate in primary school, we had the same Mongoose. I don't know if you remember the brand Mongoose from Kmart, like bright green motocross top. And we both wore the same top, and that's stuck in my brain for some reason. And then, when it gets to my turn, I'm like, I want that feeling again. It's just tapping back into my, kind of childhood and just things that I like. There's not too much logic in it. It's like, and with the sculptural table, I just wanted to do a sculpture. Like I've had that thought was jotted down in my notebooks years and years before, like 3 years ago. And then my housemate at the time during COVID, they were architects and playing around with molds, and they were making a tabletop. They actually used a table exactly like this and filled the top in there,
Yep.
and made this resin tabletop. And I just saw how kind of, like, they're not artists or anything. They quite easily did that. And then after that, I was like, oh, I could probably do that. You know, make my own mold and make my own table. And yeah, when the opportunity came around, like, you know, when you get some money in the bank and you're like, oh, well, I want to test myself and push myself into an uncharted little territory. I'm like, oh, I'm going to do sculpture. So yeah, I'm not too like, I need to do this thing. It just kind of, I'm always thinking of things that I want to do and write and documenting it, and then opportunities kind of go bing and present themselves.
Yeah, that's cool. So what's up next then?
That's a good question. So other than so working on some collaborations, trying to work towards my next solo exhibition, but more importantly, like, yeah, not too focused on outcomes and you know, trying to tick things off a list. It's more just enjoy my day to day and keep refining my process, and refining my each 8 hours or whatever I've got in a day to sharpen that and enjoy the ride, and yeah, keep making my younger self proud.
Yeah, dude. I like seeing how your work, how it starts off as just these simple illustrations and then evolving and growing into something that's bigger. And then there's like a whole, almost like its own universe about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
It's
then
exactly it.
and then it moves from being something two-dimensional and then 3D and then occupying a whole space, not just on the walls, but the whole lot. Man, it's
dude, thank you.
pretty surreal.
And yeah, it's just creating my own little world. Like, yeah, it's the goal is just to keep evolving the world and in the space, and playing, keep it light, keep it having fun, keep it just being a grown ass kid.
Where can people connect with you?
Through my favorite app, Instagram.
Once a week. You hear from him once a week.
To me on Instagram on Wednesday at 5 o'clock for 15 minutes at Nathan.Nankervis, and the website is nathanandfriends.net. Or you could just, come get a coffee in real life or a beer and chop it up.
Sick. Nathan, thanks, man.
Thank you, dude. This has been a pleasure,
dude.
man, and it's awesome to see the new space. It's fucking sick.
Appreciate it, man. I love it.